welcome to Government Unit 4. Today's video is all about the criminal and civil courts. Okay, so just like the federal court system, the state court systems are usually set up in a very similar way. At the bottom with original jurisdiction is the trial courts. Then with appellate jurisdiction are the appeal courts, and then the final word of state law, the state supreme courts. Now, the way in which judges are selected to fill these positions can be very different from state to state. There is one way of doing it, known as the Missouri Plan, in which a governor will pick someone he thinks should be a judge and appoint him, but he has to pick that person from a list that's prepared for him by lawyers, judges, and various citizens. Whoever he picks from that list will then be voted on not by Congress, like with the Supreme Court justices at the federal level, but by the citizens. So the citizens actually have a role in choosing judges under any state that has a Missouri Plan. And if they vote no to that selection, the governor has to pick someone else from the same list. Now, next to the three levels of state court are two categories of court, which handle very different types of problems. First, we are going to talk about the criminal courts. Criminal courts have to do with deciding guilt or innocent for individuals accused of committing a crime, which means breaking a law. And there are 5 different types of crime. There are the crimes against people in which someone is hurt, an individual is hurt. There are crimes against property, such as vandalism. There is the kind of crime known as white-collar crime, done by white-collar workers. For example, embezzling funds from the company or breaking other laws that manage corporate behaviors. There's victimless crimes such as drug use and gambling. And finally, there are crimes that are directly against the government. Now, if you are appearing in a criminal court, it is because you've already been arrested. And in order for a police officer to arrest you, one of two things has to happen. One, he has to actually witness you committing the crime, in which case he can stop you and arrest you. The other reason you may be arrested when a police officer does not actually see you committing the crime is if he has what's known as probable cause. If an officer doesn't have probable cause and can't prove it, then he can't arrest you. Probable cause means a good reason, some form of evidence that suggests you were involved in a crime. Now, once you've been arrested, guilty or innocent, you're going to have an arraignment. An arraignment is the court hearing in which the individual or individuals accused of the crime are formally charged in front of a judge and given the opportunity to claim whether or not that individual admits they are guilty, if they're going to claim that they're innocent, or that they're going to claim no contest. No contest means you're not admitting that you're guilty, but you've decided you're just going to take the sentence anyways. You're going to take the punishment anyways. This is also the first opportunity in which a defendant can engage in plea bargaining. Plea bargaining is when a defendant agrees to plead guilty and in return for doing so receives a lesser or possibly even no penalty for their crime, depending on what kind of a deal the city, state, or federal government is interested in making. Now, the other category of courts that you might find yourself involved in one day is civil courts, having to do with civil cases. Civil cases is an area of law dealing with settling disputes or arguments between citizens. And there's a number of reasons why a dispute between citizens might arise. In fact, just like with crime, there are 5 types. The first is property cases. Property cases involve when an individual says another individual damaged their property. Another type of civil case is involving domestic relations. For example, divorce. If you want to get a divorce, you actually have to sue for it, which means you're going to go to a civil court. And lawyers will be involved, and definitely a judge as well. Another type of civil case is the cases having to do with probate. Not probation like from jail, but basically contracts law. If you and someone else signed a contract and there's a dispute about whether that contract was violated or not, you could sue the other person, or they could sue you and take it to a civil court to handle that probate case. Another type of civil case includes consumer cases. This is where you would sue a corporation or a company or a business that you feel has damaged you or hurt you in some way. And finally, there are housing cases. Housing cases have to do with a number of different things, one of which being discrimination. If they feel they were denied a loan, or if they were denied the ability to buy a house or to rent an apartment because of something other than their ability to afford that payment, they could file a lawsuit in a civil court. And that's all we have time for today. There is so much more to talk about criminal and civil courts. This goes so deep. I mean, that's why we have so many people who make a very good living just trying to interpret and understand criminal and civil courts. If you have any questions, let me know in the box. Thank you.